So let's get into it, right? The two names that came up in what I was reading, what I was seeing in regards to the Philadelphia Eagles free agent targets at safety. I'm hearing rumors about Justin Blackman. I'm sorry, Julian Blackman, excuse me. I'm hearing rumors about Julian Blackman, former safety for the Indianapolis Colts. And I've heard rumblings about Justin Simmons. Now, this situation is interesting because Justin Blackman or Julian Blackman, I'm gonna keep making this mistake all day. I can feel it. Julian Blackman and Justin Simmons, they are at two different points in their career. I think both of them are at crucial points in their career, but both nonetheless are at different points in their career. Now, let's start with the veteran, Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons, 6'2, 202 pounds, 31 years old, former third round pick by the Denver Broncos in the 2016 NFL draft. Went to Boston College. 9-year NFL veteran. Has had a pretty healthy career for the most part. A pretty healthy career for the most part. And he pretty much spent his entire career with the Denver Broncos and really made a lot of money with the Broncos. As of late in 2024, he was a free agent and he decided to sign on with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I believe when he signed on with the Falcons, Justin Simmons, he signed a 1-year, $7.5 million deal. $7.5 million. They guaranteed the entire contract, $7.5 million with a $4.75 million signing bonus. So 1 year, $7.5 million with the Atlanta Falcons, right? Now, his days of being that $15 million a year, $13 to $15 million a year, $1 million a year safety is done, right? He's on the back nine of his career. Justin Simmons is 31 years old, and he had a decent season. The Atlanta Falcons, as an organization, as a team, they didn't have their best season, but they were in the running for a playoff spot nonetheless. But he didn't have a bad season in 2024, signing on with the Atlanta Falcons. And again, he signed on with the Falcons on a 1-year, $7.5 million deal, fully guaranteed. So that gives us an idea. That gives us some semblance of the kind of money he may be worth or looking for, right? Now, of course, he's a player will always go to a team that's paying him way more than he's worth, right? But 7.5 million, I think that's a little less than what CJ was making per season. But 31 years old, 9-year veteran. He's looking to sign on somewhere. And like last season, he waited a long time before signing on. He waited for the best deal, the best situation that he could. And I felt like that Atlanta Falcons situation was pretty good for Justin Simmons. It looked good initially, right? You're playing next to Jesse Bates. They made a lot of moves defensively. So, new coaching staff. It seemed like a good situation, and I don't think their defense was their biggest problem. Their biggest problem, in my opinion, was the quarterback position, the inconsistencies of Kirk Cousins. So there you have Justin Simmons, played in 16 games in 2024 for the Falcons, recorded 2 interceptions, 7 pass deflections, 62 total tackles, 36 solo. Right? Now, I will also say this. As far as in pass coverage goes, over the course of those 16 games, he was targeted 37 times, only allowed 22 completions at a 59.5 completion percentage. He only allowed 229 receiving yards in coverage. That's a career low for him, which is really, really good. That's really good for Justin Simmons at this point in his career. He allowed a career low in passing yards And he did really well, only allowing a 59.5% completion percentage when he was targeted, when he was the nearest defender. He also only allowed 6.2 yards per target, and he allowed 3 touchdowns on the season. Over the course of 16 games played, only allowing 3 touchdowns, not the worst. Not the worst at all. And he only allowed an 81.9 passer rating when targeted. Now, obviously, that doesn't compare to his 2021 season. It doesn't compare to his 2019 season, right? But in 2023, he was a Pro Bowler and a second team All Pro. He's been a second team All Pro 4 out of the 9 seasons he's been a starter. He's been a Pro Bowler as well 2 times out of those 9 seasons. So he's been a very productive safety throughout the course of his career. Justin Simmons. And like I said, he's not coming off of a bad season whatsoever. He only allowed 80 yards yak on the entire season. Only allowed 149 air yards on the season. So I don't think Justin Simmons is coming off of a bad season. I don't think so. Just based off of the advanced analytics. James McFadden, he says, Tone, you can't beat Father Time. Let the young guys play. Hey, James, I'm not mad at your logic. Father Time is undefeated. Father Time is undefeated. There are some guys who've been able to play well in spite of that. Darius Slay, right? Was 34 years old, 33, 34 years old, playing very well for his age. Let's call it what it is. But I understand your sentiment in letting the young guys play, right? Or at least letting them compete so we can find out who's the guy. So you look at a guy like Sidney Brown, young guy, up and coming, entering year 3 of his rookie deal. You want to find out what he is. You did sign Lewis Seen. He was a former Viking safety that they drafted, but he couldn't stay healthy. I don't think he's played 10 games in his very young NFL career. I think he's entering year 3 or year 4 of his rookie deal. Tristan McCullum, right? You got him. I think you got Andre Sam, right? Let me double check that. As far as the Eagles depth chart goes, yeah, Andre Sam, Tristan McCullum, Lewis Seen, Sidney Brown, obviously Reed Blankenship is your starter this year. So there's your competition there. It's really between Sidney Brown and Lewis Seen. I think we know what Tristan McCullum is, and we know what Andre Sam is. I know a lot of us want Sidney Brown to win that spot, but he's going to have to earn it. And I'm not fully confident in Lewis Seen's health. And I don't know what Lewis Seen is going to be able to be, or what he's going to be able to amount to, rather. I don't know. And it begs the question, are the Eagles going to be patient? I think Sidney Brown deserves a shot, but I'm just simply reporting what I'm hearing. That's all, you guys. But I do understand what you're saying, James. I do understand what you're saying. Pat Ryan says, if Justin Simmons will take less than $7.5 million, I think about it. Yeah, I would think about it. I would definitely think about it. I mean, he didn't have a bad season last year. He didn't have a bad season. And it's not like he came from a situation where they actually had an offense. You know what I mean? He played pretty well. Antonio Holmes, he says, I read that Julian Blackman had a torn laterum. I don't know what that is. Latrum, is that how you pronounce it? I read Julian Blackman had a torn latrum all season, and they put him in center field so he wouldn't have to play in the box. Dude stays injured, but he played the majority of the season with this injury. Interesting. Now, to your point about Julian Blackman, what I'm seeing is the only season he's really had that's really been injury riddled was 2021, where he only played 6 games. But in 2024, played in 16 games. 2023, played in 15 games. 2022, played in 14 games. 2021 played in 6 games, but 2020 played in 15 games. So, I mean, He's averaging about, if you exclude that outlier season where he only played 6 games, he's averaging about 15 games played. He's averaging about 15 games played. If we're being honest about that, let's just call it what it is. You know? And out of, let me see, 17 times 34, 68, 68 plus 16, 68 plus 16, 78. That's 84. Out of 84 possible games, he's played in 66 games. Out of 84, he's played 66 games. So for his career, he's missed 18 games total. That's about a season. That amounts to about a season. But over the past 3 years, it's been 14 games played, 15 games played, and 16 games played. So, but I'm not gonna crucify Julian Blackman for his health just yet. But I understand what you're saying, Antonio Holmes. If he played with a torn ligament at any point last year, that's something to think about. Let me get to Julian Blackman's numbers though. Julian Blackman has been a pretty productive safety in his own right. Julian Blackman coming off of a season where he played decent. He played okay. Wasn't his best season in coverage. Wasn't his best season in coverage at all. He did force a few turnovers, but wasn't his best season. Julian Blackman, 6 feet, 202 pounds, 26 years old. He's younger. He's 5 years younger. He's 5 years younger than Justin Simmons. Julian Blackman with the Utah third round pick, just like Justin Simmons. Julian Blackman was a third round pick, 2020 NFL draft. In 2024, played in 16 games, 3 interceptions, 4 pass deflections, 1 fumble recovery, a half a sack, 86 total tackles, 62 solo. Now, when we get to the advanced numbers, Julian Blackman isn't coming off of one of his best seasons. He isn't. 2023 was his best season by far. But 2024, major step back, right? 2024, he played 16 games, 3 interceptions. He was targeted 36 times, allowed 25 completions, allowing 69.4 completion percentage. He gave up 434 yards receiving. He was giving up an average of 12.1 yards per target and 17.4 yards per completion. That's not good. It's not good. And he also gave up a 103.2 passer rating when targeted as the closest DB. It's not good at all. That's not good at all, man. That's not good. And also, man, not a good tackler. Not a good tackler, man. He had 86 total tackles, but he had 14 missed tackles on the season. Not good. He's coming off his career worst, a career high in missed tackles. That's not a good look, man. Like I said, his best season was 2023. Only missed 4 tackles. But he missed 14 tackles. That's alarming. That's alarming to me. Now, again, Justin Simmons clearly had a better season than Julian Blackman. Now, this may go back to what my man Antonio Holmes said. Remember, Antonio, where is he? Let me go back to the original comment he had. Antonio mentioned that he read that Julian Blackman had a torn lateral or latrum all season, and they put him in center field so he wouldn't have to play in the box. Dude stays injured, but he played majority of the season with this injury. Now, that begs the question. Was he making business decisions? That's what that sounds like to me. Sounds like a guy who's making business decisions. Probably for good reason, with that bad shoulder. I mean, to play 16 games with a bad shoulder, man, it's tough. That's tough. And the thing is, you can't be on this defense if you're not willing to tackle. You can't be skittish because you were dealing with a shoulder injury the year before. You can't be skittish. So that may be something that deters Howie Roseman and Vic Fangio from taking a shot on Julian Blackman. He's a young player, though, 26 years old. And his age would fall into the category of what the Philadelphia Eagles have been doing. He would fall into that category. A 26-year-old guy entering year 6 of his career, coming off of a rookie deal or a 1-year contract with his previous team. Let me get a feel for what they was paying him too, because since he was drafted in the 3rd round and he's been with the Colts for 5 seasons, that would mean that they gave him a 1-year extension on top of the rookie deal. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Julian Blackman. All right. So after his rookie deal, they gave him a 1-year extension. He signed a 1-year, $3.7 million contract with the Colts in 2024. They guaranteed him $3.1 million. $3.19 million to be exact. So, Justin Simmons, $7.5 million. Julian Blackman coming off of a contract worth $3.7 million. So, both of these guys are relatively cheap for the position. Julian Blackman is cheap because of his production or lack thereof. Justin Simmons is cheap because of his age, because he didn't have a bad season. And the risk you take with a guy like Justin Simmons is, when we sign him, will we be the team that he falls off the cliff on? Will we be the team when he falls off the cliff? And then with Julian Blackman, is he going to be a liability in coverage? Is he going to be a liability in tackling and run defense? Will he be somebody that's making business decisions when he's on the island having to tackle defender? That is interesting. That makes it very, very interesting. And this goes to y'all point about looking for a guy in the draft, right? Because the Eagles, they let CJ walk. CJ had 2 years left on the deal. It wasn't like CJ was the most expensive, but I think CJ wanted more money. So they wanted to move on from that. Justin Simmons made $7.5 million last year. He may be able to make the same amount of money coming off of the year he had, plus the age. But you guys are bringing up some good points with these safeties in the draft, right? I know a lot of you guys brought up Nick Manwari, Malachi Starks, Xavier Watts, Malachi Moore, right? Let me ask you guys a question. Because I want to check the temperature real quick. If the Eagles were to draft a safety, who would that safety be for you guys? If the Eagles were to draft a safety, who would you want that safety to be? I saw a lot of you guys say Starks. I saw Moore. Who would KGK says Nick Emanwari. Now, I don't think he may not make it. He may not make it to the 32nd overall pick. So I'm saying Nick Emanwari. I'm saying Malachi Moore, hands down. Malachi Starks. Oh, we got a curveball. Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State. I don't know too much about Kevin Winston. I got to do some more research on him. Malachi Moore. AJ Jones says best available. Not mad at that. Sweet Chin Music says Eamon Warrior is a box safety. Yeah, you bring up a good point. The Eagles don't need a box safety right now. Reed Blankenship is the closest they have to a box safety. They don't need another box. They don't need that. They need a free safety. Malachi Moore is a second-day pick. Starks, Xavier Watts. Is he the guy out of Notre Dame? Okay, so the Kyle Hamilton relation. Now we know Kyle Hamilton came out of Notre Dame, right? We know that. We know Kyle Hamilton came out of Notre Dame. Would you guys say Xavier Watts was better than him? Would you guys say would you guys say Hamilton was better in college? Not today, but who was better in college? Xavier Watts or Kyle Hamilton? No Cut says Watts is nice. Sweet Chin Music says Watts should be a nice option. Antonio Holmes says Hamilton was better. Sweet Chin Music, Hamilton was better. Okay. T. Will says Malachi Moore has higher IQ. He's a ball hawk, good tackler, aggressive attitude. He's fast. Swift says Hamilton was better, but I still would like Watts. Hey, Linda Washington, how you doing? Fanny says Moore is versatile. He's just good in coverage. That's what I like. Fair enough. Ray Bailey says we need a free safety who's not afraid to put a hat on somebody like CJ. That part. Kakakorchi says Andrew Makuba is another option. Andrew Makuba. Out of Texas. Okay, Andrew Makuba. I see. Andrew Makuba out of Texas. Exo Key says, man, give me Starks. Okay, is it fair to say that most of you guys are looking towards Malachi Starks and Malachi Moore? Those are like your top two guys. Like, is that reasonable to say that you guys' top two guys are Moore and Starks? I'm seeing a lot of you guys either say Starks or Moore. Now, who's better? Because I didn't watch too much college football, and I know a lot of you guys did. So, who's better? Matter of fact, let me ask you a better question. Who do you think would fit the Eagles defense better? Who would fit the Eagles defense better? Who fits the Eagles defense better? Rashid Brown says Starks plays the run as well as he covers. Yo, primetime Stephen Joy says, why does everybody like CJ? He was not that good. That's funny, man. Shane O'Mac says Moore. Antonio Holmes says both will fit. Pause. I'm just fucking with you, Antonio. Fanny says Moore. Bam says Reed has enough to do at this point that I think. He says Reed has enough at this point that I think we don't really need another vet safety, but it depends on whether Howie wants to draft the safety. Simmons seems like the best vet available for cheap. Yeah, he does. I don't put it past Howie Roseman to wait until maybe the second round to get a safety. That's the thing, right? This Eagles team is so talented still. I don't really know which direction they're going to go in the draft. Will they go trenches, O lineman or D lineman in that first round if they decide to stay in the 32nd overall pick? I keep saying it, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I really don't see a situation where Howie stays at 32. I would bet against Howie staying at 32. I think Howie is either going to trade up or trade back. He's not going to sit still.